Welcome to Merschman Seeds Cup of Joe. On this episode, Will Swope from NexJen Seed in Hope, Indiana, along with our area sales manager Brett Ward, give us insight on his experience working with Merschman Seeds, a harvest summary, soil conditions, and managing wheat. Hear which Merschman products flourish in the Hope, Indiana area.
Hi, this is Joe Merschman. Welcome to Merschman Seeds Cup of Joe. Today we have Lynn and Dylan, and we have a special guest. I'm going to let Lynn take the discussion off today.
Yeah, so today we're joined by two of our frequent customers on Cup of Joe in relation to our dealers. I think, Will, you might be one of the first repeat dealers on Cup of Joe. So today we have Brett Ward, our rep for Southern Illinois and Southern Indiana, and Will Swope with NexJen Seed. So Brett, would you mind just kind of introducing yourself and then giving us a little intro on your relationship with Will, and then we'll start the discussion after that.
Sure. Brett Ward, I'm sales manager for Area 22. I cover Southeastern Illinois and Southern Indiana. I'm with Will Swope this morning with NexJen Seeds. Will and Jennifer Swope are the dealer. They're my farthest east dealer located in Hope, Indiana. They started the first year I came on board with Merschman Seeds. My first full year, 2020, they came on board and been here ever since and support us really well, and I appreciate it.
Awesome. Will, you mind giving the listeners just a little bit of, maybe the background for you as far as where you come from, and then a little bit of how, your history in the seed industry?
Sure. Born and raised here in Bartholomew County, Indiana, which is where Hope is located. We're kind of south central Indiana. Grew up on a grain farm, so been around farming, agriculture my whole life. Met my wife, Jennifer, and she, freshly out of college, decided to start a seed business to come back with her family's operation. So we got married shortly after she got home from college, and we both kind of helped launch her seed business together. And we've been doing it since 2015 together. And we got, like Brett said, introduced to Merschman Seeds when the whole dicamba enlist battle started coming out. We had a lot of our customer base that was gravitating quickly towards the E3 side of things, and we felt like the company that we were with did not promote the E3 genetics or the package. They were very heavily invested into the dicamba program, and it just wasn't going to cut it for our customer base. So we made the decision to come on board with you guys for the E3 soybean genetics, and have brought on the wheat varieties to our customers, and now next year launching the new corn varieties. So we're pretty happy to be able to offer your guys' stuff to our customers, because for one, it's so much different than anybody else in our geography. There's no other dealers even close to us that are offering Merschman Seeds, so it kind of sets our dealership apart. And then also the genetics behind your guys' products have really shined in our area. I mean, our farm, and as well as a lot of our customer base, has been just extremely pleased with their soybean yields and your guys' products the last several years that we've been out in the marketplace selling them. So it's been a very good relationship for all parties involved, and we've been very pleased with Merschman.
Awesome. So speaking of geography, could you describe maybe a little bit of how your geography sets up from a soil type standpoint? What for this year has maybe some of your limiting factors, or just kind of a brief overview of the growing season as well, and then kind of what maturities and what hybrids ranges work well in your area?
Sure. So we're in a pretty unique spot. So we have a lot of diversity in our soil types in this county. We have very sandy, gravelly ground that is heavily irrigated in some parts of the county. And then as you move further east, closer to where our farm is located in Hope here, we start to transition more to a clay, timber soil, more of a loamy type soil. And then a little bit further east towards the end of our county line and going into the next county east of us, you really start to get into some really productive, good black loamy ground, very good fertile soil. So we get to see a good diversity of practices as well as soil types and how guys are handling that or what they're doing differently. And it gives us a really good picture because we can go into another area since we have so much diversity, and we can relate to guys because I've got guys that are irrigating, so I can relate to that. We've got guys that are like us that farm a lot of the timber clay soils, and sometimes that's really tough ground to get a good stand on in the spring. So we have experience with that and practices and varieties, and then you get guys that are to the east of us yet that are really getting into that productive ground, that are really breaking that yield barrier and pushing stuff hard. And so and we get to look at that too. So for me, it makes me well-rounded. I can kind of talk the talk and walk the walk with many different walks of guys, and that helps a lot in the marketplace too. I'd say that our kind of sweet spot for soybean varieties is probably a 3-2, the McKinley, up to the Austin. Now, there is some outliers out there. We'll have some guys that'll go down to a 2.9 or a 2.8, maybe just for a few acres to get some manure on, or if they're going to do a tiling project or something outside of that boundary. But that's really about our sweet spot. The Kennedy, that's been a home run bean for us in our area. I mean, it just absolutely knocks it out of the park every year. Pretty much anything that we put it up against in that maturity, it just clobbers it. The Austin 4.0, that's our number one bean on our farm. Also really good seller for us. Just a killer bean year in and year out. The new Truman bean, we had several acres of it and sold quite a few of those. That seemed to be a very good bean as well. Like I said, we've only got to look at it for 1 year now, so just running off of this year. But I think guys were very pleased with it, and we were pretty pleased with it too. We had I'm not going to say a drought year, but we were dry. We started out in the spring dry, even, which is kind of a rarity for us. We kind of tend to be wetter in the springtime, so we kind of fight getting the crop in most years. And we were dry. It started out dry, and then it continued to get drier. But we kind of caught, I'm not going to say timely rains, but we caught enough rains here and there to kind of keep things going, where other areas kind of missed those rains and really kind of suffered. So all in all, we've had just a tremendous year again. I mean, our yields were very good. We actually set an on-farm record for wheat yields. We've had the best wheat yields that we've ever had. We had a 55-acre farm make 150 bushel average. I think our whole farm average on about 400 acres of wheat was in the 130s. So just a tremendous yield on wheat, very good quality. Merschman products shined once again for us with quality. Just outstanding performance. Really happy with the wheat varieties. Going into the corn and bean side of things, we were a little drier in August, so we kind of took some of the top end out of the soybeans for sure. A lot of guys, though, were still hitting that 65 to 70, and you had some outliers there where guys are still, really pushing and managing, hitting 80 plus bushels. So, just tremendous yields again for us in the area. And on the corn side of things, it kind of took everybody by surprise. I mean, we did preliminary scouting. We use a third-party agronomic service to help us with making recommendations and scouting and that kind of stuff on our farm. And we did some yield checks and stuff, and they were over 200, but we got into harvest and got shelling. And I mean, we actually set some farm records. We were, I think, about the 230, 240 for a majority of our acres. That's kind of about where stuff laid. But we did have some that was up into the 260s on averages. So just took us by a whirlwind. We had no idea corn was going to be that good, and we still are kind of scratching our heads wondering where the bushels came from. But with 450 corn, we'll take all of it we can get.
What about double crop beans, Will? What did you follow your wheat with?
So we use the Monroe bean, the 3.7, because we feel like it's a more traditional thin line bean. It's not going to do a lot of branching, which obviously with double crops, you don't want that plant to waste energy putting branches on. We want it to focus on putting pods on that main stem because we don't have a lot of time out there. So we always really like that 3.7 bean for that aspect of it. And we knew we weren't going to have stellar double crop yields just because we were so dry. We got really good stands and got everything up, but I think 15 bushel was probably our worst, and I think about 40 bushel was our best. So I mean, nothing real exciting on the double crop side of things, and we kind of expected that, going into it. We knew we were going to be kind of short on that end of it, but still with, the kind of wheat yields that we had and the prices that we got out of the wheat, we were still looking at $13 at the time we were harvesting our double crop beans, and we just decided to let them go to town and sell them for $13 and just, kind of take an average for the wheat and the soybean. And we were just really happy with everything in general this year. So we weren't going to complain at all.
Yeah, the good Lord probably didn't want to give you everything. So, there's always going to be a little bit of a negative. But yeah, I guess I'm going to kind of go off the rails here just a little bit because my jaw dropped. I don't know if you saw it or not, but when you're talking about 130 to 150 bushel wheat, did you mind maybe just unpacking a little bit of how you got there? I mean, that's a number that is very, very impressive. So what's some of the management stuff that you go into your wheat that would get you to that point of that high yield wheat?
Yeah, absolutely. So we use a wheat consultant, and we have for several years. And what he brings to the table is from your variety selection all the way to the finished product, even helping you set the combine. And we feel like with wheat, you really have to do everything right from the start. So, I mean, we're even taking samples of our seed when we get it in here, and we're actually running it through the drill to calibrate so that we know how quickly that seed is metering out. Because even though the seeds per pound might be the same between two varieties, the treatment, the seed size, everything can make that flow differently. So we're even going down to that fine-tuned of a mechanism to meter that seed out. So we know when we move that drill, how many notches, we know how many pounds we're moving. And we're also, relative to the fly-free date, we're bumping those populations up or those pounds up for every 7 days that we're past that fly-free date. So we make sure and utilize it and get enough plants out there rather than just saying, I'm going to shoot for 120 pounds. Well, you might be putting way too much on, or you might not be putting enough on based on that variety, like a lot of guys do. They just kind of put the drill at a certain notch and sew it, and that's what it is. So we get pretty technical with it. And then as soon as it comes up and they can get out there and start doing some stand establishments, they're already making recommendations. If we had a little bit of emergence issue and we lost some plants, they're already telling us, hey, we're going to want to try to bump that nitrogen up on that first pass to try to help get that thing to tiller. Or if we've got a really good stand, they're going to say, let's bump that nitrogen back so that we don't want to tiller too much too soon. So they're really involved with us and timing on things, and they get over so many acres on a broad scale that they see a lot of different practices and what products guys are using, so they can come back to the table with us and say, hey, this guy last year was using this product, or we tried doing this on this acre and it had a significant yield advantage. A couple of years ago, they came to us and said, we really want you guys to use 1034-0 in one of your passes with your nitrogen application. And everybody kind of raised their eyebrows like, wow, 1034-0 is so expensive, blah, blah. We hate to do that, but we tried it and we saw like a 20 bushel yield increase from it because we were getting that phosphate so much quicker than just what we spread in the fall in the dry form, and we were getting a larger volume of it. So we felt like that really, really helped us kind of set that next bar. We're using a lot of sulfur. I will say that too. And then the timing on the fungicide as well. We always shoot for at least one fungicide application right there about that flowering stage. But there's some years that they come in and if they're seeing a big disease flush, they'll tell us, we really want to see you guys put another fungicide application out there because we're seeing a lot of head scab or we're seeing a lot of, whatever. And, we think it's going to pay huge dividends to do another. So we kind of rely on them and their knowledge and experience for the timing and then just their overall general recommendations based on what they're seeing.
Are you doing the second application after flowering? You're doing the first application of flowering, doing the second application after that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Will, what was the highest yield you saw in your combine yield monitor in your best wheat?
Gosh, I don't run the combine, so I'd be lying to you, but I know that one field that averaged 150. We actually recalibrated the yield monitor on the combine because we couldn't believe the numbers that we were seeing. We thought something went haywire with it, and we recalibrated it, and it was dead on. And we have a certified scale who weigh everything that comes into the farm here, and so we kind of have a double check there. So we double checked everything and it was like, wow, that's just amazing. We just never dreamed that we'd see that high of an average on a field. It's just crazy.
That's very good. Goes to show if you manage wheat, the potential yield that it has, and particularly it's probably you didn't plant that wheat on the soil types that you mentioned that are dark and black. I'm sure it was your timber type soils, which wheat does well on. So that's some of the best wheat yields that we've heard anywhere this year.
Yeah, we were really, really happy, and we've kind of been, I guess, spoiled over the last several years because we've been kind of hitting those high benchmark 120, 130 bushel yields. So we've kind of been spoiled the last several years. One of these years we're going to get a reality check, I'm sure, but it's been nice the last several years being able to see those numbers and makes you smile at the end of the day when you're divvying up the tickets and seeing what stuff's making.
Oh, that's definitely awesome. So switching gears here to beans, Dylan's got your plot results here and just has a few questions over that. So Dylan, what do you got for questions on Will's plot?
Yeah, so as we're looking at them, you said kind of your sweet spot was the McKinley to the Austin, but looking at it, looks like the Lincoln took your plot. So do you think you'll be kind of pushing that new 3-1 coming this coming growing season?
I'm going to say that those are all good numbers, but I'm going to say that's an anomaly for our geography. Usually I think what happened was that those earlier maturities maybe caught the rain at the right time, where some of these fuller season beans, the rain didn't hit at the right time. So I think that's why you're seeing those earlier varieties kind of on the higher end of things, but that usually doesn't happen in our geography. But like I said, there is a push. I'm definitely seeing more and more guys backing down and, planting those 3-2s, those 3-0s, those 2-9, 2-8s on more acres, just for the sheer fact of being able to get out there while the weather's good, get those beans off, and whether it be tillage or wheat or whatever they want to do. But we are kind of seeing guys maybe backing that down from those traditional 3.9, 4.0, 3.7, kind of in that range. That's where a lot of guys around us are heavy, and they're starting to back down now to these earlier numbers. So, I mean, I think there could be some merit to that, starting to push those earlier ones, but there's still a lot of guys that like those fuller seeded beans around here. So I don't think they're going to be a real big seller for us.
In general, Will, I would say that the rest of the geographic area that we cover is following your lead, that we're moving earlier just because farmers are bigger and bigger and they got to cover more acres, so they got to get started. And the combining length of day is so much longer in end of September, first few days in October, than it is the middle to the end of October. So we're seeing that trend, and we're not seeing a big drop off from the early threes to the late threes this past year across a big area. So everybody is trying to figure out how to do things faster and faster, and I would agree with you that we're following your trend.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of cool from us as what I'll call us the Northerners, I guess, or what Brett would call us, that we're up here in the southeast corner of Iowa, but our maturity range is exactly the same. And then some of the management stuff that you were talking about have a lot of similarities. So I think it's really cool that the products that you're talking about are the stuff in our back door that works really well. And I think it goes to show, Ben's not here, so we're going to give him a compliment. I don't want him to get a big head, but MS Tech is coming out with products. Ben's picking products that have a wide range of adaptability that can go from Fort Madison, Iowa, down to Hope, Indiana, and travel across different soil types, different stress environments, and perform really, really well. So that's kudos to the breeding programs that are out there, and a product manager who's not here that will give him a compliment. So, and part of it too, I think you're exactly right. The guys are just managing soybeans different. To Joe's point, we look at managing soybeans from a harvest standpoint, from making sure we hit that first time it hits 15%. We want to get out there and knock that thing out as fast as we can. Well, if you plant a 3.7 to a 3.9, your window is really, really tight. And we have some advantages to being in there to take advantage of moisture, I guess, at 15%, where if you got a couple thousand acres all matured at the same time, it's really hard to start at 15.1 and end at 15.0. We found out this year you started at 15, and by noon it was 9.8. So there's different management perspectives that go into that decision, and we're seeing a little bit of a trend on actually both ends, that guys are going a little bit longer and a little bit shorter, all in the same sense, to try to manage that moisture factor. So that way they're either delivering beans to town at 14%, or making sure they're putting it in storage and not having to do a lot of rehydrating, I guess we'd say.
Yeah, and also managing the weather, rainfall, make sure you maximize that yield. So that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. We had the 24-14 with here. I think it's C30.
C30, yeah, 24-13 C30.
So we had about 20 acres of that product that we tried last year. So we had like a 98 acre field here at our home farm. It's pretty productive soil type. And we just did like a 20 acre block right out in the middle. We didn't split the planter because we didn't want that plant height difference or anything to skew anything. So we just kind of did a 20 acre block right out in the middle of the field. So we had a competition on both sides, and we were really impressed with that product too. I'm really excited about the Merschman corn. I think we're gonna, kind of come out of the gate with this E3 herbicide stuff. That's got a lot of guys excited. I know a lot of our customers, they complain about having to rinse the sprayer out so much, and I think that's gonna really help some guys be able to transition back and forth quicker while they're spraying those beans and those corns, trying to get that post in, as well as the genetic side of things. Just kind of bringing something new to the marketplace in our area. I've had good amount of interest in the corn lineup, so that's been very, very good and positive stuff. I've had several talks with some guys and got some pricing out to some guys already on that as well. So looking forward to seeing hopefully some orders come in this fall and get some more product out there in the marketplace in our geography to kind of see how it stacks up against what other guys are planting out there. But from what we saw, like I said, 20-acre block, not a huge picture, but it did very well. I mean, we were talking 240, 243, I think in that range is what it was averaging in that field. So just stellar corn.
What about the FOP chemistry in it? Do you think you'll have anybody using that? Spraying over the top with a sure too?
Yeah, maybe some.
No grasses. Roundup's got resistant too.
Not really, no. And I got to give a lot of our producers credit. A lot of guys around here are really good producers, and they're really on top of things. I mean, we work with some really good growers that really pay attention to everything. So I mean, there might be a little bit, but most guys they're just on top of it. I mean, they don't let anything go. So we don't really fight too many weed issues outside of soybeans. I mean, that's still definitely the main thing that guys focus on is weed control in soybeans. Corn, not so much. We really don't have a whole lot of weed pressure in corn that we fight. It's
staying ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I guess my final question for today is what's an agronomic change that's going on in your area that's got you really excited about the future of agriculture, the future of farming, and what does that look like, and how does that, like I said, get you excited for the future?
Yeah, a lot of talks. It used to be when you go meet with a farmer. It would definitely be about products and yield and this, that, and the other. But now I really have a lot more talk and focus on, hey, well, you get around a lot. What are some products or what are some things that you're seeing out in the marketplace that guys are doing or guys are using to keep climbing that ladder, get to that next rung? So that's the kind of stuff now. I mean, I'm not saying that seed's not a main focus, but I am saying that there's definitely a lot more talk and a lot more stuff going on in farmers' minds about bringing in some more products or trying some different practices to try to really elevate their yields. And we've as a dealership, we've picked up some companies to try to help bring us diversity and help our growers with some foliar micronutrient type products, as well as the Pattern Ag. We are a dealer for Pattern Ag as well. Got introduced to that from Merschman. So trying to find things that are limiting factors for guys or something in our geography that we all know is an issue or a problem that we fight year in and year out. And what products or what things can we do to help eliminate that, or maybe not eliminate it, but try to control it as much as we can within our realm so that we can get a better end result. So the thing that excites me the most about that is that guys aren't there. I'm not going to say they're not worried about spending money, but they're more open to more ideas. They're more open to pushing limits, management. What can I do? And for me, being a young guy, it really is impactful for me when I go talk to a farmer who's 55 to 65 years old, and he's looking at me going, hey, what are you seeing, or what's your opinion? And I'm only 33. So, it makes you feel good that you have an impact in your community. People are watching what you're doing. People hear about the yields that you're getting using products or using these genetics. And they're thinking, they're saying, am I doing the right thing? Or are the stuff that I'm buying, the stuff that I'm implementing, is that getting me the end result that I want? So to me, that's what's exciting out there in the marketplace, is just being able to have that conversation. And I've had conversations with guys and it's gotten me nowhere with seed, but you still get that relationship piece. And being a young guy, a producer, going out and working with guys that are high managers or large farm operations that get to look at and see so many products and things that maybe the smaller producers can't afford to try all these trials, try all these products on their farm. These guys have way more acres to spread that out over and to try stuff on. And having a relationship with those kind of guys as well is good, because you get to hear what they're seeing and what they're doing, and you get to have that information given back to you for free, basically, so that you can say, well, I can't do that, but what he's doing, I can implement that another way with our planter or with our sprayer or, whatever it might be, and get a similar result. So that's the kind of stuff that excites me. I'm really into management. I really like pushing stuff. I really like seeing what that next rung on the ladder is going to be. So that's kind of how our farm runs, I guess. We really like to push the bar. We really like products and we really like yield. So that's kind of where that gets me excited. And that's the kind of stuff right now in ag that really kind of keeps me going.
I'm that 55-year-old guy plus taking advice from the younger generation. And it makes me feel good to know that people like Will's here, Lynn, Dylan, young people coming into agriculture. Ag's going to be okay. And I don't want to fall into that group when I was that age that was cussing the young generation. We got a lot of young people out here doing good things.
All right. Well, that's awesome information there, and really appreciate you coming on and being a part of the discussion today. But it's not going to be complete without a little gain. There has to be a little pain, so you have to stick around for the corny joke as well.
Well, thanks for the build-up, Lynn. Well, I don't know if you've noticed it lately, but there seems like there's a lot of new laws on the books, I don't know if you've heard about this one, but did you know that laughing too loudly in Hawaii is illegal? They only permit aloha. At least one person laughed.
I'm not gonna lie, that took me a little bit, but I got it.
Okay, aloha. Okay. Every time I take my dog to the park, the ducks try to bite him, And I guess that's what I get for buying a purebred dog. Okay. All right, one more, and then we'll put everybody out of their misery. Okay. I don't know if you know this, but I have this unique ability to tell when people are lying just by looking at them. I don't know if you knew that. I can also tell when you're standing. Okay. All right, we'll leave it at that. Anyhow, thanks, Will. Thanks, Brett. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
You bet. And as always, we hope that you and your families are safe and healthy, and we'll see you next week. Take care.